What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Bryant Bulldog Sports Hour on 990 WBOB, the number one radio program for all things Bryant Athletics. I'm your host, Brian Kostiw, joining you remotely. I'm joined alongside by Matthew Carvalho in our Sprout co-working studios. Matt, I hope you're doing good tonight. We have got an outstanding show in store for all of you. Coming up in just a couple minutes, we're going to be joined alongside by head men's basketball coach Jamion Christian to break down his team's win over UMaine. Then in our 8:30 primetime slot, head baseball coach Ryan Klosterman will join us to preview the 2026 season. And in our final interview of the night, Jacob Gaudreau from the Bryant baseball team will stop by to give us more Bulldogs baseball. So listen, it's going to be a great show. We have coming up for you in just a few minutes with Coach Christian set to join probably right after our first break of the evening. But a lot of good Bryant sports to talk about. Some things that went down this weekend. There's nothing else really, I think, too notable this weekend, sports-wise, that went down. So, all in all, it was really good to have that going. Really excited about that. Sports-wise, for Bryant, you had men's and women's lacrosse kick off their seasons. Women's lacrosse ended up getting a dominant 16-5 victory over Sacred Heart last weekend, which was great to see. Had a chance to attend that game and see Emily DeGeorge score 7 goals in her season debut, along with Kaylin O'Brien. The two of them took home America East Offensive and Defensive Player of the Week honors. So great start from the season from that crew. I think that they have great things set for them this season. So really looking forward to that there. And then, you have the Bryant men's basketball team too, who, following a tough game against UAlbany, came out swinging against UMaine and got a great win there. So, all in all, it was a great win, great weekend for Bryant Athletics as a whole. Can't wait to get into all that. But yeah, Matt, we do have our first guest coming up in just a few minutes. I say that if we can, we're going to just go to a quick commercial break so that way we can get them on for their full segment. We're going to go to that right now. When we return, we'll be joined alongside by head men's basketball coach Jamion Christian. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to 990 WBOB. Welcome back to the Bryant Bulldog Sports Hour on 990 WBOB. Brian Costa and Matt Carvalho with you here on Monday night. Before we get into our next guest of the evening, we just want to tell you to join Bryant Athletics this winter, watching your Bulldogs at the Chase Athletic Center. Single game tickets for men's and women's basketball are on sale at BryantTickets.com. And now joining us on the Sprout Co-working Expert Hotline is head men's basketball coach Jamion Christian. Coach Christian, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it always.
Absolutely, Coach. Obviously, we'll get into the main game in just a second, but obviously, I just wanted to give you and your Seattle Seahawks your due diligence and your congratulations on taking home the Super Bowl last night. Obviously, I think a lot of people in this region are, obviously feeling it a little bit, but congratulations to you and your team. I'll just have you, I'll give you the floor with that.
Yeah, no, I mean, the Patriots an incredible season, really. I mean, watching Drake May all season long, getting into this region and watching the Patriots, how they're able to play. People probably don't realize, I'm like a huge Bill Belichick fan, Patriots fan. I just love watching the maturation of Tom Brady and how they were able to establish an identity, in professional football. A lot of the things that we do in our program come from Bill Belichick's philosophy and how they drafted players, how they develop players. So no one has more respect for the Patriots than me. I've had a lifetime of learning them, and it's great to be in this region now where I feel like I can learn a lot more about it by being closer. Seahawks had a great defense this year, great offense. I think historically it's one of the best teams maybe in this Super Bowl era on both sides of the ball in terms of being good on both sides. Sam Darnold, a lot of experience, his ability to kind of make the right plays when he needed to. But that defense, all year I've been telling people, man, we tackle. And that individual accountability really plays well into the playoffs and into Super Bowl.
Now that you guys have multiple Super Bowl trophies in your guys' trophy cases, do you favor one of those teams maybe more over the other? Is there one that you look upon more fondly, or how do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's interesting. I felt like the defense last night was really trying to prove that it was the best defense in Seattle history. I got two teams that I grew up loving, Atlanta Braves and the Seattle Seahawks. And both of them, one thing they both have in common is they have a common theme of how they want to build their team. The Atlanta Braves, they're always through pitching and defense. They spend a lot of money there. A lot of prospects there. And then Seattle Seahawks, man, we're going to run the football and be really good on that, run the football, and we're going to have a really, really good secondary. And I love the fact that both those organizations that I love so much just have a defined way that they're going to play, a defined way that they're going to build their teams. So it's exciting to watch. I mean, I'm probably more partial to the Legion of Boom, I would think. But I thought this defense was actually better than the Legion of Boom. I thought their scheme, their tackling, how much they would use blitzes in timely fashion. The Legion of Boom basically sat back and covered two the entire time and allowed those guys to make individual greatness. Didn't take a lot of chances. I love the way Mike McDonald calls the game. Man, we were super aggressive last night, getting pressure on Drake May, and I think that's really needed.
Absolutely. A very, very special team in their own right. Congratulations to them once again on getting the job done here in this one. Switching back to hoops now, obviously you guys got a great win this past weekend over UMaine. You had Khalil Williams, who in his first career start shined with 15 points. He had a bunch of other great players, making their mark, whether it was Tim with 16, Keegan with a tough 12 and 8 in that one, or even Shakai Robinson doing his thing. Just, give me your, your opening thoughts from that game.
Yeah, just love our team. Our resilience is really special. I think, the seasons in the past here have been rising so quickly because there have been so many talented guys that were older and more experienced. And, I think this ride with our team is about watching these guys learn how to play together and kind of learn how to step into that talent gap as a unit and as a team. I'm having a lot of fun trying to coach these guys, be able to do that. And, I think when you see that, you see guys like Shakai Robinson able to step into those big moments. Khalil Williams being able to step into the big moment. What I actually loved about it wasn't, we know Khalil can play. We know Khalil can shoot the ball. So we were excited about giving him that opportunity. What I loved about it actually was after the game when he had the post-game with the TV, how everybody ran over to him. And, those are the kind of signs that we're having inside our locker room while we stay so enthusiastic, while we stay so optimistic. We're really growing this as a team and as a unit with an energy that I think is really special, where everybody's really supporting each other and everybody's really believing in one another. And, I don't know if you're going to always see that in college basketball, and I think we're really growing that. That's why I'm most excited I'm happy about the win, but I'm excited that the team wanted to celebrate with Khalil and they wanted to be a part of that celebration with him. That speaks to what's going on in our locker room every single day, and that's exciting to be a part of.
Absolutely. And, credit to all those guys for, showing that kind of support. It was great to see. Something that was interesting just with me kind of looking at that and, Khalil's, seeing some time here and there this season. He obviously has the great game here. With it being a short turnaround between that Thursday where, Ty gets hurt in that one, Khalil, sees sometimes towards the end of that game and then ends up starting on Saturday. What was that kind of turnaround, I guess, like for you guys with him in practice? Like what was kind of that, quick prep on that side of it?
Well, we're prepping him all year as the backup point guard. And so he's been getting those kind of reps over and over again. And, I think one of the biggest things was, honestly, I just challenged him. He's always messaging me and texting me and saying, Coach, I got you, man. I can help our team. I can help our team. And so, after we weren't able to close out Albany, I challenged him. I said, you're always, and it's time for you to show me. I'm tired of hearing about it. I want you to show me. And I also told him the ability is there. The talent is there. You got to go get out of your own way and let it show out, because I do have high belief in him and the stuff that he can do. I think the areas he's trying to grow is like kind of his maturity and how he handles success and failure. And those are all things that really good players have to kind of figure out. But, he's a guy that, again, we have really high confidence in. So that turnaround really, he always had the ability. The turnaround was just about, him getting out of his own way, playing the game in a way that we believe he can play the game and making our team better. And, again, it was great to watch him step into that and to feel that kind of energy. He's a special player and we look forward to watching him continue to play for us, help us this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Another area where you guys, saw some, great strides in that one was especially on the glass. You guys dominated Maine, 35-23, on rebounds, and then, also in points in the paint. You guys were had an advantage of 32-20. I guess for that, you guys being one of the taller teams in the country, there had been some struggles with that earlier in the season. What really, I guess, pulled through for you guys in this one, being so successful there?
Yeah, our best rebounding week of the season. And, really, we've dominated the last four games. We've dominated the last four games and just weren't able to close two out. And I think we're playing our very best basketball. It starts with the level of physicality. Our screening angles and how well we're screening on offense right now is pretty impressive. We're starting to get guys open a little bit more easily. We're creating a better offense for us. That physicality you're talking about on the box outs and finishing plays and guys rebounding outside their area, that's all about us talking about being physical and learning how to play that sort of way and learning how to play America East play. Those are going to be really important for us. We're talking about little things equal big things, especially as this time of year when every team knows how everybody wants to play. Can we find the smallest detail that's going to give us the biggest gains? We're really trying to focus in on those details. And again, I think we're playing our very best basketball of the year right now. I think we're really improving. I think we got a chance to go and showcase that this week against a really good UMass Lowell team in Vermont on the weekend.
Obviously, I know that you guys want to have guys like Ty and then even Quincy out there. Obviously, I know that you guys will be looking to get them back at some point this season. But it seems like that some of these guys in their absence have been able to get more reps, get more time like that. When we do get those guys back, and we're looking forward to that. What does that kind of depth, I guess, kind of look like with the dynamic of the team as you guys kind of factor them back in?
Yeah, I think you always want to believe that everything's happening to you for a reason and having a great purpose. And, in this situation, we're going to get a chance to increase our depth and give guys more opportunity to go and be able to go and attack it. I mean, having two quality guards in the backcourt is better than just having one. And that confidence that Khalil's been able to show, we want to continue to keep that. And, that'll give him a chance when he steps in there to step in there and be, play at the highest level for us, like we believed he could have done all year long. So, again, we're not surprised by how well he's playing. He's showcased that some in practice, and now we're looking forward to watching him kind of show it and be more consistent. And that depth's going to be important for us. I mean, right now everyone's kind of getting sick and injured. So we're fortunate to have a roster of guys we can kind of keep putting different guys in. I mean, another guy to watch out for is a guy named Lenny Weber. He's going to have a chance to step in there. Daniel has already kind of put his prints on the game. He's going to have a chance to do that. So again, just trying to keep all these guys ready to go, ready to attack the moment. And like Khalil, he was going to play 40 minutes the other night, right? So, we definitely had confidence he could step in there and do that. And, we're going to continue to have that confidence in the guys on the roster.
Absolutely. As you guys look ahead to this week, I know you guys are coming off the homestand here. You guys now head into the road stretch with UMass Lowell and UVM coming up. Just kind of give us your thoughts as you guys, prepare for that next challenge.
Yeah, UMass Lowell, one of the best isolation scoring teams in the league. We've got to do a great job of guarding the ball, keeping these guys out of transition. I mean, they really hit us on the chin pretty good last time, and really effective. We were able to move the ball on offense. So, excited for another challenge to go in against a team, obviously played us a little bit better the first time and challenge and see where we are the second time. I thought the ability to increase from the first Albany game to the second Albany game says a lot about the growth of our team. We just got to continue to grow and learn from the film. And learn what we need to do, go be at our very best. Again, keep giving these guys confidence, keep believing in them. And then, obviously Vermont's always very stout. They're coming off a huge a spanking of New Hampshire on Saturday. And they're always going to be tough. But, you want to challenge yourself against the teams that are perceived to be the very best. And I thought we played them pretty well in the second half of the last time. Let's see if we can carry that over. But again, I think, 4 straight games have really dominated the way that we wanted to play. And, I'm looking forward to watching our team, playing our best basketball this time of year and moving on into the tournament.
Yeah, you had a great quote from the end of the Albany game. You were talking about that you don't want to just have to wait on this team to respond, to adversity, things like that. You want them to come out and perform right away. What does that look like for this team in this game? What do you need to see from them as you go?
We talked about 2 things with our team. Number one, it's hearts and minds being connected and being in the right place to go and be at your very best. Not having a ton of distraction. These guys are all pretty distracted in this era. And so not being distracted, hearts and minds in the right place so we can go be connected and go do what we came here to do and do it as a unit. And like you saw on Saturday, have a lot of fun doing it with people that we really love to be around. And then secondly, we just talked about our discipline. We've got to keep increasing our discipline. If there's any area if there's any area that I think we've lost a few games, it's just our discipline. Again, discipline on screening angles, discipline on box outs, understanding the clock and situations, stuff that we work on tirelessly, but then it's like when the ball goes up, really being able to execute that. So we're really focusing on those things. I think if we can get those things a lot better, and just continue to improve them, we'll become a much better team. And again, I think we're really starting to do that. And we're starting to feel that kind of vibe and energy.
Absolutely. Bryant University will take on UMass Lowell this Thursday at 6 p.m. in Lowell. Coach, thank you so much for joining us once again. We wish you the best of luck this week.
Thanks so much. Go Dogs.
Absolutely. Go Dogs, Coach. Take care. All right, that was head men's basketball coach Jamion Christian with us here on the Sprout Co-working Expert Hotline. It's always great to have Coach Christian on. Obviously, he's repping his Seattle Seahawks. He is a big Seattle Seahawks fan. So, credit to him and his team for getting the job done. His football team as well as the basketball team that he coaches. So, great win for them against UMaine, and it was a much needed one. Obviously, it was a tough one to lose to UAlbany there at the end, but I did mention that quote because it was something that really resonated with me, and I think that is going to be a litmus test for Bryant going into this one, and it's that Bryant has been able to respond at different times this year, whether it was the Binghamton game where they kind of lost it at the tail end. You come out, you have a good win against UNH that Saturday on only a day's rest, and then the same thing happens a week later with UAlbany where you're leading for most of that game. You go into Saturday, only a day off. You have a new starting point guard, and you manage to get the win there. So it's going to depend on a couple things there. You don't know exactly how it's going to all come together, but I think that for Bryant, UMass Lowell is always a tough place to play. They only got their first win last year when Earl Timberlake, got to the line and was able to sink some, hit some critical free throws at the end. So regardless of, who's on that UMass Lowell team, the America East Conference seeding, the conference itself usually can be won and lost on, home court advantage. So if Bryant can, steal those road games, which, they were able to at chunks of last season and get some critical road wins, that can really help swing things in the conference, especially as you go into, the second half of this season and you start to go towards March. So I think that, listen, it's going to be tough, but I do like where, this Bryant team is trending. It seems that they have found a sense of togetherness. Like Coach was saying, following that post-game press conference with Khalil Williams, the entire team went up to Colin Struckman and that ESPN crew and was, huddling around him and, they were hyping him up on the broadcast. And, Khalil was the guy that last year redshirted the entire season. He saw, that team go to March Madness and what they did. And, he was a part of that group and he was a part of this team. And, when I was talking with Ja'Kai Robinson in the post-game press conference, he was really, so happy for Khalil because he's played with him for a year. And he knows, what he can bring to the table. So, glad to see him get that kind of shine and success. Was glad to see Ja'Kai have a great offensive game with 11 points and 6 boards. Keegan Harvey, who we talked about, briefly with Coach, came out with the wrestling headgear on because he kind of took a shot to the head in the last game, and out of protection, he wore that. And, he had a good 12 points, 8 boards, and it does look like there are, some good pieces that can really put together some quality minutes for this team. And they're not even at full strength yet. You're going to get Quincy Allen back, who I think that if you can get him, really, executing against those second units and Ty Tabalas and Khalil being a good duo at the guard position, I think that some good things really could happen there. So I'm really excited. Can't wait to see what happens with them next. Obviously, they have the Thursday game against UMass Lowell, and then they got to go up to UVM, which is always a tough place to play. So that all remains to be seen. We will have to see how that all goes forward. But Matt, we're going to go to a quick commercial break. When we're back, we're going to have head baseball coach Ryan Klosterman join us to give us the latest on Bulldogs baseball. So don't go anywhere. You're listening to 990 WBOB. Welcome back to the Bryant Bulldog Sports Hour on 990 WBOB. Brian Costa, Matt Carvalho with you here on Monday night. We're going to be joined alongside by our next guest in just a couple minutes. But before we get to him, we want to just say that they are brought to you by the Sprout Co-working phone lines. For all your co-working needs, large or small, visit sproutcoworking.com. Now on the Sprout Co-working phone line is head baseball coach Ryan Klosterman. Coach Klosterman, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. Glad to have you back on with us. I know when we last spoke, it seemed like it seemed like the season was still, plenty far away. I think we last talked in December or so. So it was, still kind of a dream, a little bit of a ways away. But, here we are, season starting up in 4 days. Just give us your kind of opening thoughts with that.
No, we're excited about it. Obviously, you look outside, it doesn't look like baseball weather up here. Our guys are excited. They've been working really, really hard through the course of the fall into the winter. And, we're just excited about playing somebody else with a different jersey on.
Yeah. I mean, as someone who, grew up playing baseball in this area, I know that, it's not that you guys are unfamiliar with having, with having indoor practices, any of that stuff. I know that's obviously very, commonplace for you guys. I know, however, you did have the turf field that you guys were able to utilize these past couple of years, but now you guys have been back inside Conity, doing stuff there. Has that kind of changed anything with, approach wise, anything like that? Or is it still kind of just, same as always?
No, we have a schedule that we stick to in a routine with our players and trying to get them to be in the best possible position to be successful once the season starts. And we are very, very lucky to have the indoor facility, and it allows us to work on our craft regardless. And so, whether we're indoors or outdoors, we are using every minute available that we can to get better. And our guys are ready. We've missed some things that we would have liked to have done outside, which we have had the ability to do in years past. But even with our football stadium and getting out there when the weather allowed to get some fly balls in, it's been a really, really good winter so far.
I was about to say it's also, you guys have a great facility as well with the indoor and Conity. So it's not like you guys are taking ground balls in a gym somewhere. So you guys are definitely able to get in quality reps, I can say. Obviously for you guys, you have a lot of returners with this team this year. For you, obviously, you guys, made it to the America East Championship Series last year. It was a close one with Binghamton, obviously, there. With these kind of guys, and bringing that back, would you say it's easier to kind of like, get them back on track with in doing some things, or, do you kind of have to like remind them that, it's, back at, square one again, kind of, how does that kind of work as a coach?
Yeah, with today's era of roster turnover, whether it be guys graduating, newcomers coming in, either be the transfer portal or freshmen, I think you always got to go back to the basics. You never want to assume that somebody is up to speed with the pace and the expectations that we have and the things that we believe in. So you always go back to ground zero. And yeah, as you get an older group, or as you get some returners, some guys that have been here for multiple years now, it's really nice to have the extra voice, the extra eyes, helping out the newcomers, get caught up to speed with how we do things. So we have a good group of returners. We also have a large group of newcomers. So each year is new bodies, new athletes, and the returning guys have done a really, really good job getting those guys up to speed.
I know, especially one area of returners where you guys do have, a lot of strength in, particularly is the battery of, your catchers, and you have a ton of pitchers coming back as well, whether it's Owen Burchard, who's, being ranked as one of the top relievers, in the region this year. And then just other guys on top of it, like Dylan Scudder, different people like that to kind of throw out there. But, just for that, I guess having that kind of familiarity between those guys and, having that already established, just, how much of an advantage does that provide for you guys, not, with those guys already having that kind of chemistry established?
Yeah, I think you're going to win and lose games on the mound. I do have a lot of confidence and trust in Coach Cronin and what he's been able to continue to develop when it comes to our pitching staff, and seeing guys like Dylan and Owen and even guys like Landon White and Sean Zaslow and Caden Hilberger, a guy who's been injured throughout the majority of his career, kind of seeing some of the growth in those guys, and more so some of the adversity that those types of players, like Caden Hilberger for one, like just getting a chance to see the kid pitch this year. Yeah, he works his tail off. He's a great leader in our locker room. Guys look up to him. He's been a selfless guy you knew he wasn't going to play in the last 2 years, but yet he was always a guy that was helping in Coach Cronin's corner and helping the younger guys develop, and kind of getting an opportunity to see him reap the rewards of his time, his efforts of getting back and being healthy. So I'm excited. I'm excited for him. Like you named a couple other guys like Owen Burchard, who's done some really special things early on in his career. Dylan Scudder, who was the guy who transferred in last year, and I thought we started to see the best version of him at the end of the season, which was really, really exciting. And we've seen some growth out of him as well this year. So one of those guys that wasn't on that relievers list is a guy by the name of Landon White, who, I want to say if you look at his line from last year, he might have had two appearances where he wasn't the best version of himself, and I think the numbers inflated the ERA and things like that. But he might be one of the top closers in the country, top relievers in the country, and having a guy in the back of the bullpen, one like Owen Bichard, who has the ability to strike out guys very, very quickly, as well as a guy like Landon with the experience. Those last 3 outs, those last 6 outs of the game are very, very hard. They're different. There's a different heart rate that's involved there. There's a different, when you're competing against a team who's trying to score 1 run or 2 runs late to either tie it or extend the game. Having a guy like Landon that you trust back there, who's been there, done that before, been on the mound in a lot of important games, and has had a ton of success, is, not being the guy that calls the pitches, but I know Coach Cronin has a lot of trust in those guys.
Yeah, I know in the infield, on paper, it looks like you guys are really going to be reshaping some things with the only, returning starter from last year being Zach Zions, but obviously he speaks for himself in there. And then you guys are also getting Justin Hackett back, who missed last year with injury. Just talk about, that kind of area, maybe some of the new guys that have been brought in there, and also, what Justin's going to be able to bring coming back off that, and, Zach obviously doing his thing.
Yeah, we have returners up the middle, and I look at Justin as, I know he wasn't with us last year, but yeah. He's was a guy early on in his career who played some meaningful at bats, who's at the bottom of the dog pile when we won the championship 2 years ago. He's been a guy that we've got a ton of trust in defensively, and so you have a guy in Gavin Greger in center field who's been here for 3 years, Zach Zions who's been here for 5, Justin Hackett at short, who's been here for 4 now. Those are some of the guys that are just an extension of the coaching staff, know what we expect. And as you bring in some newcomers, a guy like Ellis Garcia, who came from West Virginia, he started his career as a freshman as a guy who started a lot of games, and then it kind of tapered off with some injuries, this, that, and the other. And we had a chance to get him and bring him to Smithfield, and he's been a mature college baseball player. This will be his 4th year in college, and he's experienced. He knows what winning feels like, looks like, and just bringing him into the fold has been a really, really nice, pleasant surprise. Over at first base, we have a couple guys, 2 left-handed hitters who are doing a really nice job for us. One, Casey Wensley, who's a pretty dynamic left-handed hitter who can really, really run. And then we have another left-handed hitter by the name of Hudson Story, a transfer in from a junior college out in California, more of a physical build over there. But both those guys should see a lot of playing time and get multiple opportunities.
Absolutely. Obviously, at the time we're recording this, opening days, 4 days away. It'll be 3 tomorrow. I guess in these couple days that you guys have left, what are the finishing touches, like last kind of second tweaks? What does that kind of look like for you and your squad?
It's a long season. The baseball season's long, and we're not going to be the best version of ourselves on Friday. That's not my expectations. My expectations is that we play our best baseball late, and we are still working through some of the inclement weather problems that we've had, and getting outside and playing baseball outside. So our ability to just go out, take the day, enjoy playing the game, playing against somebody else, learning from the experiences that we have. There's going to be things that pop up that we haven't directly been able to cover without the outside reps. But at the end of the day, these guys are ready to compete. They're ready to get after it, and I like the group. And it should be a fun evening on Friday night.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Bryant opens their season against Davidson on Friday night. Coach Klosterman, we wish you the best of luck in this upcoming season in that game. And with everything considered, we look forward to talking to you again soon.
Thank you very much, Brian. I appreciate it. And I appreciate everything that you do for Bryant Athletics.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Coach.
Take care.
All right. Take care, Coach. All right, that was head coach Ryan Klosterman of the Bryant baseball team joining us there. Always love having Coach Klosterman on the program. He's a great, he's been great ever since he came here, and has really continued the success of the Bryant baseball program, which when I first came to Bryant was something that I recognized pretty early on. Listen, we're going to head to a quick commercial break. When we're back, we're going to continue talking some Bryant baseball. We have Jacob Gaudreau from the baseball team joining us here in the final segment of the Bryant Bulldog Sports Hour. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to 990 WBOB. Welcome back to the final segment of the Bryant Bulldog Sports Hour on 990 WBOB. Brian Costa, Matt Carvalho with you here for the home stretch. Before we get into our final guest of the evening, we just want to pay the bills real quick. We just wanted to tell you that tonight's broadcasts are brought to you from Sprout Co-working for all your co-working needs, large meetings, office for a day, working remotely, events, or just trying to get away from the distractions at home. Sprout Co-working in Providence, Rhode Island is the place for you, the official co-working home of 990 WBOB. And now joining us on the Sprout Co-working Expert Hotline is Bryant University baseball player Jacob Gaudreau. Jacob, welcome to the show. How you doing tonight?
Hey, Brian. Thanks for having me. I'm doing pretty good. Excited to be on here.
Absolutely, man. Glad to have you on. I know we just spoke with Coach Klosterman in our last segment. Got some, words from him about the team, and was really excited to hear about that. Just from your side on the players, how's the vibe, with the players right now? How are things going?
I think it's been pretty good. I mean, in today's day and age, every year we get a bunch of new guys, either from the transfer portal or from the incoming freshman class. So, it kind of creates a little bit of a tough go at the beginning, trying to gel everyone together. But I think our team's done a great job of, finding time to hang out with one another, at practice, off the field, whatever it may be, just, making time for each other. And, I'm really excited about the group of guys we have. We have a lot of good guys that Klosterman brought in. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I know, at least for you guys on your side of it, there are a lot of returners on the pitching side for this team, and for you guys, just how much of an advantage does that provide you guys? Especially for yourself being a catcher and the other catchers in that room. Just talk about the advantage that provides for you guys. With that kind of rapport.
Yeah, I mean, last year we saw a lot of success with the pitchers we had, and luckily we brought a lot of those guys back. So, just like maturity wise, we have a lot of guys who have been in a conference tournament, in a conference championship, in years past have won a conference championship. So, just having that kind of maturity on the mound and in practice just kind of brings a whole new level to the team. And, it's a lot of fun having guys come back and return to play with you. It's a great team to be a part of. And so just having those guys around, just creates a big sense of like camaraderie within the team, and definitely helps us a lot in game when we have a lot of experience like that have seen a lot of success in the past.
You obviously being one of the more elder statesmen of this team, you've been on both sides of, winning and losing those championship and those different moments. Just talk about how those different moments have maybe fueled you and these other players in general. These past couple of months.
Yeah, so I mean, I was lucky enough 2 years ago to be a part of the team that took home an American East Championship, and it was an amazing feeling. We were on top of the world. It was awesome to be with those guys and win another championship. And then going into last year, we kind of put that aside and we went to work again, and we found another great group of talented guys who made it all the way to the end, and we just came up just short. And it was sad for a while. It was a tough loss, tough to see that group of guys kind of go away and it kind of be all over and said and done with. But I think the guys who have returned have just done a really good job at kind of putting that behind us, but also using it as a goal to. We don't want that to happen again to us. We saw what it was like having someone celebrate on the field with us having to stand there and watch them celebrate. So I think it's just gonna fuel us even more for this year, and we're very excited. We think we have a good shot, and we trust the guys that we have.
Yeah, you particularly towards the end of last season really found your stride. You ended up finishing the season hitting over 300, and took over as the team's primary DH in that one. What really led to that kind of late season surge and that success? What was really going right for you towards the end of that year?
I think it was just the trust from my team and my coaches. Obviously we all put in work, we all go hit, we all go practice. But at the end of the day, it's if the guys around you trust you to be in that big spot or in that big moment, it's going to only help you have more confidence in yourself. So I give a lot of the credit to the guys around me. I never went up there thinking like these guys have no faith in me. I always went up there with like, I want to do it for these guys around me. It was never a selfish thing. It was always just these guys have put me in this situation to find success, and they trust me and they're behind me every step of the way. So I want to find the success and help them also find success and win some games.
Yeah, we talked about it. I know we just discussed it with the chemistry, with you and the pitchers, but this catching room that you guys return is absolutely loaded with yourself, Brandon, and then Cam. All three of you guys were, incredible contributors for this team last year. What is that kind of, chemistry like with the three of you guys? All being able to contribute like that. Just, how special has that been with you guys?
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, I love those guys. They're some of the guys I talk to the most, obviously. But when you have a group like that, you think there might be a lot of competitiveness in it, which there is. But it's good competitiveness. It's not we're not hoping someone fails, then we get a shot. We're all kind of we're backing each other up. We're joking around with each other in games. One of us hits a homer or something. We're right there, top step of the dugout, supporting them. But yeah, it's a great group of guys. Cam came in as a freshman, played a lot for us, did a lot for us. So that was huge to see him grow and kind of see him have some success. And he was a great locker room guy from the start. And then Brandon, when he came in 2 years ago, he just had an immediate impact on the field and in the locker room, brought a great presence. So those guys, and then as well as two freshmen, Yami and Tommy Malloy this year. It's just been a great group of guys to be around. They're a lot of fun, and I just enjoy seeing them every day.
That was something really interesting that you said there, of the fact that you guys are all able to be competitive with one another, and be happy for each one's success. And the fact that all three of you guys, you had three catchers on this team, all able to contribute, and sometimes all within the same game, which is pretty incredible. For you guys being able to not only just have that goodwill to be cheering each other on, but also seeing it work out, and also seeing you guys being able to all contribute within the course of potentially even one game. I guess just how fulfilling is that too, knowing it's not just just being a good teammate, all that, and it's that you guys are actually all able to contribute at once.
It's awesome. I mean, it's kind of hard to explain and put into
Yeah.
words, but those are some of like my best friends. Outside of baseball, outside of when all this is done, those are some of the guys I'm gonna look back on and I'm gonna stay in contact with, and just seeing them have success and me be able to be there front and center for it. It just brightens up the day. Helps me get through all the tough times, and I think if they were here, they'd say the same thing. Like us just being there when through the highs and lows, and just always having each other's back is like a huge part of why we play the game and why we show up to practice every day.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, as you guys prepare for Davidson to start the year, you guys also faced ranked Clemson pretty early on. I know you guys, you guys build your schedule for these moments. Just talk about, your guys' thoughts as you guys prepare for the year. I know Coach Klosterman was saying that, you guys want to be playing your best baseball towards the end of the year, but, just take us through with these first couple games, kind of goals, things like that for you guys.
Yeah, we're excited. Finally getting to go outside. We've been in the Conity Indoor, which is an amazing facility, but there's something about going outside for that first time and playing against another competitor. And so every year we step out on the field, no matter where we are, and it's like, now we're here, now we go, and it's awesome. We're excited to play Davidson. We played them a couple times, and it's always been a great matchup between us. So we're very excited to play them, and then Clemson being able to go to an atmosphere like that and a program like that that's had so much success. You don't take those moments for granted. No matter who you're playing on the field, like we embrace the idea that those guys are trying to beat us and we're trying to beat them, and it's just always fun to get out on the field. So these first couple weeks definitely, they definitely bring some excitement to the table for us, and finally getting out of the cold New England weather, even though it's not going to be as warm down there as it should be, but we're excited to get out on the field.
Absolutely. All right, Jacob. Well, listen, we wish you guys the best of luck in those games, and also just this season in general as it really just approaches. I can't believe how fast we've gotten to this point, but can't wait for it with you guys. So we wish you guys the best of luck there, and we'll talk to you real soon.
Thanks, Brian. I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. Take care, Jacob.
Go Dogs.
All right, go Dogs. All right, that was Jacob Gaudreau from the from the Bryant baseball team, rather. Glad to have him on the program. Jacob's been a staple of the program, throughout his time here at Smithfield, and now he's a grad student with the program. So credit to him for what he's been able to do during his time here, and he really carved out a role for himself towards the end of that last year. Because initially it was kind of a two-person show between Durand and Papetti, and they kind of swapped off, and Gaudreau would kind of get in there in some opportunities early in the season. But towards the end of the year, he really started to hit his stride, was, belting out some nice doubles there. And, Coach Klosterman saw that, and he was like, all right, we're going to put you in as our, long-term DH in this lineup. And it paid dividends. Bryant was able to ride that to the America East Championship. And, at the end of the day, they came up one game short. That's all it was. And Bryant is a very good team again this year. I think that, they're always going to be in the bid for that. So looking forward to seeing what they'll do there. Really looking forward to this year in general. So, can't believe we're already in spring season, Matt. It just seems like basketball just started up and we were doing our November 3rd show from, opening day there. And I know that, their season is still going on, but it does come at you pretty quick. So I can't wait for spring sports. It's a great time of the year. I know that, just being back outside again, we've been, in the chase for most of the time and, been surrounded by a bunch of snow and things like that. But, pretty soon that's going to give way to spring. And when it does, baseball, softball season, outdoor lacrosse season will all be here. So can't wait for that. But listen, that's going to conclude all we have for you guys tonight. When we are back next week, we're going to have another great slate of guests. So we hope you guys tune in and give us a listen there. If you guys want to follow us, we are available on Down to the Wire platforms on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. And then you can also listen to this on 990wbob.com and bryantbulldogs.com. We upload the video and audio streams to both of those sites. So listen, we thank you guys so much for your support, and we will talk to you guys next week. Take care and peace out.